Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Decorate with me. I'm Alessandra, and today we are completing our Bridgerton Season 2 coverage of all the balls, parties, and soirees. And this week is the final ball that we see in episode 8, and it is the Featherington Ball. The first time we really see them host anything of their own. It's all about the luxe gold, making sure she's known to be the best of the best in her house. And for those of you who saw any of the behind the scenes Bridgerton content development when they first made the first season, there was some discussion about how the Featherington house, when it's depicted in the series, is kind of like new money, so to say, and that's why there's like excessive butterflies all over and just ornate everything, whereas the Bridgerton house is a little bit more classic elegance, kind of like old school style. And it really shows and is very consistent, I feel like, when we look through some of these inspiration pictures. So the queen even attends this ball, which I find kind of interesting. Like, she's not normally attending, from what we see, most of the balls. But nevertheless, I mean, she's at some of them. She doesn't go to all of them. But either way, this is a great moment because, one, she looks awesome. And two, we can kind of get a good snapshot of the decor that we, the decor that's brought in for this ball. And it's usually what we see is like a black and gold, almost urn-like vase with some exotic tropical foliage, which would be very fancy in that period of time, getting them, getting tropical leaves brought in from God knows where, the islands, I suppose, over to England in the spring is probably no small feat and very expensive. But I like that there's the tropical leaves with the gold leaf on the edging, and then there's full-on gold leaf. I'm not really sure what type of leaves those are, but that's where some of our inspiration is. And then Lady Featherington went all out and had the band in the middle of the dance floor on a rotating stage with multiple tiers, and her ballroom is covered with chandeliers, and there is no shortage of chandeliers in here. I mean, they're mixing and matching all sorts of different styles. These are obviously rigged, but still, they're beautiful. And here's a wider shot of the whole room. So really kind of that warm glow, lots of, technically candlelight, but in this instance, obviously there's chandeliers with electricity, but lots of crystal. And then the stage is a good representation of like the black marble with the gold kind of extra fanciness. And then it's hard to get a good shot, but we see in two scenes, we can see some more arrangements here, and then it kind of goes with like the dark green and I'm assuming kind of coppery gold maybe, that is detail work on the house as a permanent structure. So we're going to use those as our inspirations, with crystals, gold, green, and then probably a little touch of black. But I was thinking, let's treat this kind of like a wedding. So luxe wedding, Featherington style. That's our inspiration as we finish out this series. So let's get straight into the florals. Now, just starting with the florals because I want to go that way first, I obviously need to have gold foliage, and my brain immediately went to David Christopher's. They are a wholesaler and a reseller. Christmas lovers, you are going to want to check out their website. If I had $1 million, I would just buy all the things on their site, honestly. David Christopher, it's owned by David and his wife, and I believe her name is Jen. They're a super sweet couple. Make sure I'll link to them down below. And I thought, why not mix some of those tropical leaves with some, fake but real touch type tropical leaves, and then we can make fun arrangements like this in this little golden black urn, and then we could use those later on as a centerpiece or a tablescape element. I don't know. So we're starting off with the simple round tablescape, and I love, love, love this linen from Cloth Connection. They rent this linen. I'll link you to it down below, but I love a good swirl anything. Obviously, you've seen me do some fluid art on this channel, but a statement tablecloth like this doesn't require a big centerpiece and a lot of other frills and things with it, and I love that. So I've paired it with a gold swirled textured charger, a nice rich green, I just use a satin Lemoire napkin in this instance. Some votives, gold mercury. I think any size will do, but I think the shorter ones on a small tablescape like this is fun. And then going back to some of the florals that we talked about before, we're really just focusing on greenery and gold in these arrangements, which is different than what we've seen the rest of the series. And so I wanted to keep that true in our centerpieces. So that's why we're keeping it with the black and gold urn, very Bridgerton, and then taking inspiration from the Featherington's ball. And we're going to have nice tropical foliage with some gold foliage mixed in and complete our first tablescape. All right, so we went from kind of a simple, low round tablescape to a little bit more of an intense, expensive one. And that's because we're using this curved sofa as a banquette. And this round table is going to be able to accommodate guests on this side. And then depending on how many guests you want to fit at the table and the layouts and all the things, you could put chairs over here. So you could potentially have maybe 6 to 8 people depending on the size of the table. I'd say probably 6 is a good guess. But these could be really fun if you suspend some chandeliers, like this crystal candelabra, which I enlarged over here so you can see the detail. Real crystal, super gorgeous. Would probably require rigging or something, but I think if you're bringing in sofas and linens and everything, it's probably no big deal at that point. And the linen that we're choosing here is a kind of multi-tone gold and tan linen, also from Cloth Connection. Just, I like the texture. It's pretty without being too over the top. And I thought, you know, we need something a little bit darker on here because we have a lot of solids, but we need a little bit more print, even though I know this is a print, but it doesn't really come off as a strong print. So I found this super pretty custom gold and black menu. It's an oversized menu on Etsy, and I'll link to the designer down below so you can get them quoted for you. But they are just beautiful, and I love the setting, and I thought, oh, it goes perfectly with this. And that's what brought me to a gold, black, and white charger, a nice green napkin like we had before, and then these kind of crystal pillar candle holders with LED pillar candles, of course. Definitely get the kind with remote. So let's talk estate tables. Now that we've done 2 round tablescapes, a low and a kind of feature one, we're going to look at an estate table with a table arch. Now, I could not have photoshopped or done anything better than this myself, and I was looking at linens. Obviously, we picked out a few fun ones from Cloth Connection, and this is another one that I found, and I love this gold sequin. It's kind of got an interesting pattern to it, and I saw this picture and I was like, oh my gosh, this is nearly perfect for a party like this. I love the table arch. I love the floral. Obviously, we would want some of our fun florals that are more foliage than floral, but nevertheless, it's pretty much on par for the greens and yellows that we see a lot of in the Featherington home decor. And really, the tablescape is pretty close to what I would want to do on an estate table. A lot of designers refer to this as like a candle river or a candle flow. I've heard it referred to as a few things, but essentially you're taking layers of candles, highs, lows, votives, cylinders, raised cylinders, and you're creating kind of a river of light down the middle of the table. And on a sequin linen like this, when the lights are low and everything's, you know, like it's showtime, doors are opening, this looks beautiful and it's show-stopping. So recreating that on our own, if you had to do this, I would recommend getting some white LED pillar candles in a couple different shapes and sizes. You're going to need some floating candles and cylinders that are in a couple different sizes. I usually like to stick with 3 different sizes, but some people like to do 4 or even 5 different sizes. Really, it depends on how long of a table you're doing and how flexible your budget is. I say that because you can get cylinders like these usually at Goodwill very affordably, and that's because they are often at the Dollar Tree and you can order them online. But if you're getting them bulk or you're going to be reusing them again, I would get something at a little bit nicer quality than Dollar Tree. But if you're just using them one time and you're going to donate them or something afterwards, Dollar Tree's fine. Glass pillars like these that are clear. In this example, they have a silver set. I didn't want to mix the silver in. I don't think we needed it, and I don't think Lady Featherington would be cool with feather and silver and gold at her party, but I see where they're going with it, so I opted for clear. You could get an amber glass or even mercury glass, but I think there's just a lot of gold going on, and I like the play of clear. And so to mix in a little bit of gold, I found these votives, and they say they're a taller votive, but they don't really look it, so I'm hoping they ship taller, but A taller votive like this kind of helps bridge the gap between like these really high and then the little low ones, and then mixing in these kind of different textured black and gold mercury glass candle votives. Obviously, I always prefer LEDs whenever possible, just for safety points of view, but I think this is going to create a lot of pretty color and dimension and texture on a tablescape like this, especially if you take the same foliage or even the tropical foliage like we've been focusing on and put it up top. But this is one of those show-stopping tables where you might only need a few tables done up like this, but it's still going to be a wow piece for sure. So styling this, I would pair it with a gold scroll charger. So it's black with a gold trim on it, very old school elegance, which I think is very appropriate for this theme, and it'll help kind of match all the unusual black and gold patterns that we have here together. And then a nice green Glamour napkin. And that's how I would style this table from a personal standpoint. Now, continuing on our estate tables, I love a good sequin, and we did not get to use enough sequins in this series, and so I thought, you know what, we're going big with this wedding, and so that's why we've got these giant candelabras, real crystal, nice gold trim. You can use candles in them, you could use them as little floral bases, and I think there's a lot we could do with this here if you didn't want to put candles in here and you wanted to do more foliage. But with the green sequined tablecloth, I love, love, love the idea of skipping the charger altogether and going for like one of these fun laser cut vinyl placemats. And in this instance, it's the same kind of monstera leaf that we have in the arrangements. And I think this could be a fun alternative to the charger that is very popular these days. I think there's a way you can make placemats more modern, and this is one of the ways I would recommend it. Now, a green napkin, I don't know that I want them to be super, super matchy-matchy. I kind of like the tone on tone, so that's why I kept this brighter green with this darker emerald, but whatever your heart desires, it's your party, you do what you want. And then with the candelabras being in the middle, I wanted something low that we could kind of have like a nice little texture moment with all the foliage. And so these are two little gold, I don't really know what they're called, but they're little pots that David Christopher sells, and they come in, I believe, 2 or 3 different sizes. And so I thought a nice little pair of those could be really cute if you scaled down the florals to be just a nice little low arrangement. I don't think votives are needed on here. I put them on originally and it just looked too cluttered. It looked too cluttered. I don't think it needs it, but if you want it, go for it. It's your party. So let's talk statement dance floors. I love a good statement dance floor, and you would think with all the balls and parties that we've had throughout Bridgerton, we would have had more of those. We would have seen more themed dance floors, and I don't really think, I get why they don't do it in the series. I really do. It makes, I'm sure, a nightmare for filming and angles and everything, but that doesn't mean we can't do it in our own parties. And I think Lady Featherington had a great moment when we had this giant reveal of the ballroom with all of the hanging chandeliers and the slow spinning, I guess, orchestra riser, whatever you want to call that, in the middle of the dance floor. And I was like, this is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful, without being obnoxious or anything crazy. And so that made me inspired to do a round dance floor. And you can get round or square, doesn't really matter, but I think round is kind of fun. And vinyl wrap, so you can get custom prints on whatever you want. And in this instance, we did a vinyl, I recommend a vinyl wrap with a marble finish. And if you Google marble dance floors, oh, there are some spectacular ones out there. I think that's really classy and a really pretty take on the dance floor, especially if you get like your monogram in gold or something in the middle. And then to accent that even further, the same large chandeliers that we had before with the beautiful crystals hanging off of them, nice white and crystal, a good combination. And then Shop Wild Things has this giant opera oversized gold chandelier, and there's not technically lights or anything on it, it's just the frame, so you could put whatever you want on it. You could put foliage, you could put crystals, and I just think hanging crystals off of this is going to look spectacular. Now, I know a lot of you are like, wait a second, Alessandra, why are we working on photo stuff already? We haven't done the altar and this is a wedding. Well, hear me out. We could do an altar and a photo booth separately, and a lot of couples do, but sometimes space or budget or whatever doesn't allow for it, and sometimes you have two in one. And I think this is one of those instances where I really want to show that if you style it the right way, this can make a beautiful altar, or it can make a beautiful photo booth. Could be either, could be both. So starting with a light gold sequin backdrop, flanked by emerald green velvet, because this seems like a very Featherington over the top move. I would probably cinch these back so they have a nice shape to them if I could, but you know, finding pictures in the shapes of curtains that you want is a little tricky, but I think you guys understand where I'm going with this. Using the big 6-foot and 4-foot chandeliers that we were suspending over the dance floor, I think if you sat them on the ground and just kind of tilted them a little sideways, that would be really pretty. So you have them, you know, just kind of flanking where you're going, but that's not enough. So I thought, well, let's put some floral risers and some more urns and some of the arrangements like we were using before. And that didn't seem like enough. So I just kind of added a little bit more and balanced it out on both sides. And here we are. Seeing them balanced on both sides seemed a little bit more, and I'm a more type of person. So now we can have either a fantastic spot to get married under, or you could have a great photo spot, or both. And that's what I really like about this whole theme, is it's very versatile. Like, it could be wedding, it could be party, it could be any number of soirees in between, and you don't always have to pay to have an altar that you're using for 20 minutes and then a photo booth that you're using for 2 hours. You might as well use the same thing if you can, and I think this is an opportunity that shows you could have them both in the same spot and be really, really fun. So we've covered a lot of content here, so I wanted to run through it again and go through from the top our luxe wedding Featherington style. We started with a low round tablescape, beautiful marble textured table linen. Then we have our statement round tablescape with the banquettes and the suspended crystal chandelier hanging over. Then we have our over the top table arch tablescape with lots of candles and lots of foliage. And then we end with our estate tablescape, which has beautiful sequins, lots of gold, and uses vinyl placemats instead of chargers. We also have a grand dance floor with lots of hanging crystals, candelabra or chandeliers, and just beautiful custom marble wrap on the floor. And then we start and sort of end with our wedding altar / photo booth. I love the idea of having multi-purpose functions when we do big events like this, and this is just so fun and so unique, and I really hope someday somebody texts me a picture and goes, hey, I was watching your series, I love this moment, and I made it in real life, and that's just the dream. And I hope, of all of the things I've made, this is probably one of my favorite designs for wedding altars or photo booths, but I digress. If you would like more inspiration for Bridgerton, whether it's for a birthday party, a wedding, a shower, Tuesday home decor, I don't know, whatever you want, there's a good chance I have some inspiration for you already on my Bridgerton ball. I'll link the board down below. Tons of great content, and if you haven't checked out the rest of my series, I have covered every major ball, party, soiree that we've seen in both seasons of Bridgerton, and this is the last of the season 2, at least for parties and soirees. So make sure you will go back and binge the playlist, because if you've seen this one, you need to check on all of them, right? And as always, I am making mood boards, so if you see any designs in this that you would like to recreate or share with a designer or your friend or whoever, there will be a mood board, really quick, like 30-second, 45-second video that will have just those boards on them that you can share really easily and flip through to show whatever your favorites are. As always, friends, thank you so much for watching. I'm Alessandra, and thanks for coming on this fun journey with me. I'll be posting more content soon, although I'm not sure. It might be Bridgerton themed, it might not be. We'll see. I'm always open to requests, so make sure you leave those down below. I appreciate a good challenge. Alright, friends, until next time.